Good evening, America. I'm not going to need these tonight because there's nothing scripted about this one. It's straight from the heart. And to the folks that follow my political leanings and words and opinions, it's not so much about that. It is a little. I want to talk about a friend. An unlikely friend. I gotta shift the camera a little bit here. Yeah, let's just put my head in there. Because there we go. That right there, that's hard to do. But that's a sculpture that I have. It's a ceramic sculpture. It was given to me in 1999 when I left the Thomaston Opera House in Thomaston, Connecticut, where I had been the artistic executive director for about 10 years. And they gave a testimonial dinner for me, and well attended, and the people were remarkably loving and grateful. And they knew that I wasn't going to be back. One of the people there was at the time, boyfriend of my former girlfriend. So there's a little background in this. Krista and I had a relationship for about 5 years, and was one of those odd relationships. You don't know sometimes how you connect with a person and why. But we did connect. And Krista was literally half my age. Beautiful actress, singer, dancer, artist. One of the most talented graphic artists I've ever met. And I'm proud to have been the person that was with her while she was going to school and helped pay for her school. That special a person. But those relationships are difficult. When you have nearly a full generation between you. I was 36, she was 18 when we became an item and began living together. And that's not an easy thing. Eventually, you get to the Steely Dan song, Hey 19, couldn't be more real. Hey 19, that's Aretha Franklin. And we had those sociological differences, but we still had this incredible love. And it was doomed. The age difference, it became insurmountable. But that's okay. Krista remains one of my best friends in the world. And after we split up, I ended up getting married. And a lot of folks have their best friend as their best man. I had my best male friend and my best female friend. That was our closeness. Krista was one of my best persons when I got married to my wife Nina. Oh, anyway. After that, we still remain. I mean, obviously, we were still very close friends. And I wished Krista the best in her life and maintained a place in her life. And we are that to this day. We are still very close friends. I consider her among my very best of friends. But Krista brought me in contact with someone else who became I consider one of my better friends. ever in my life. And it's unlikely because most males, when they meet their former significant other's now significant other, those two guys generally don't get along. It's just a fact of life. There are still jealousies involved there, and that can be difficult. Krista introduced me to a young man far closer to her age. Scott is how he was introduced to me. Scott LaBossierre. And I am kind of unsure. I don't know if his first name was really Dow or his middle name was Dow, but his family called him Dow. That in part because of their theology. Dow's mom was Chinese. Dow's dad was the epitome of the old hippie. He's somebody that I guess I look at myself that way now. But I needed some artwork done. I needed some things created for a show I was doing at the Thomaston Opera House. This is a few years before I left the Opera House. That needed some backdrops. And Krista was in art school at the time. And she had now started a relationship with this fellow, Scott LaBossierre. And I had told her going into the show that we were doing that I needed a little help as far as doing the backdrops. And she said, well, I think I know a guy. And that was when I met Dow. And sure enough, he was very talented. Very talented. And we didn't have the typical male jealousies. We just had a mutual respect. And I'm going to credit that to Dow. Because I can be crude and grating, or in some people's opinion, obnoxious. Other people don't see me that way. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that, yes, I can be that way. And I met this guy who was, now, I'm really not blowing my own horn here. I'm not. I was a very talented actor and director. I became quite well known for my talents as that. And that is an artist. And I met this young man who was probably superior to me in talent as far as his chosen art form. Not probably, he certainly was. But I met this guy, and without all of the petty male jealousies, I liked him. I liked him immediately. And I was very happy that this person that I had loved so deeply had moved on to someone that I could look at with that much respect. I'm not going to promise you this won't get political, because it probably will. I don't know what just set the alarm off. Hey guys! Hey! Anyway, I met Dow, and we worked together, we collaborated. And frankly, he knew more. I had a vision. I told him what I wanted, and he knew better than I did what I wanted, what would feel right behind the plays that I was directing or producing or acting in. He knew better than I did. And I just got to where I liked this guy enough to where we became very good friends. And Dow much younger than I. Much younger than I. Kind of a generation younger than I. To be exact, 13 years younger than I got along with him great. I loved our conversations. I loved his artwork. My God, a talented man. But more than anything else, I loved sharing our creativity. I loved sharing an interest and a vision and collaborating and working on it. And we did that numerous times. We did that all the way up till the time that I left Thomaston. One of my, just things that happened. Krista and Dow ended up moving in together, and they moved into what I think is one of the coolest places in the world. In Hartford, Connecticut, there is a renovated factory building that is called Art Space, and they moved in there. Dow was instrumental in getting Art Space going. He wasn't in the forefront of it, but he was instrumental in it, and he and Krista, an equally talented artist, were some of the earliest tenants there, and helping them move in. That was the kind of friendship. I was one of the guys that they would call and say, hey, we need a hand, and absolutely, I'm there. That was a wonderful time. A couple of times that his dad, the old hippie, and his mom had this modest retreat in Voluntown, Connecticut. Beautiful, beautiful area. And Dow and I both liked fishing. I don't know if he still maintained that later on in life. Wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, because I kind of look at it as cruel sometimes myself. But we shared that, and I would go up there, and we just got along wonderfully. I liked the guy, and he liked me. And somehow, I guess through the marvels of the internet, we maintained our friendship. In fact, I just had a conversation with Dow just a few weeks ago. I posted pictures of it on my page. There is a beautiful, beautiful park in the center of Hartford, Connecticut. Has its problems like any inner city park, but it is a beautiful place. And Bushnell Park also has, Hartford, Connecticut is a very art-centric area to begin with. But Bushnell Park has very near it, walking distance, the Wadsworth Atheneum, which is a fine art museum. Beautiful, beautiful art museum. And I'm talking about Degas. You name the famous artist, you'll find that in the Wadsworth Atheneum. And on another side of the park, Art Space. And anyway, Dow was walking through Bushnell Park with his wife, Amy. Dow and Krista split up after a while. But he was walking through the park with Amy, and there happened to have been one of Connecticut's old oak trees. And if you don't understand what the oak trees are like in Connecticut, they are massive. And Bushnell Park had one that came down. And as they were walking, Dow saw the remains of this tree being chipped up and destroyed, but there was still a stump left that was probably 9 feet tall. I guess that's where the tree had broken and fallen. And As he was walking, typical Dow, with his artist's eye, saw something more than just an old dead tree stump. And he went to the Bushnell Park Commission and said, look, I think I would like to do this with this tree stump. Please don't grind it up and take it away. He presented what his vision was, and they accepted it. And they raised the money to get it done. And Dow turned that tree stump into this beautiful throne. I've posted pictures of it on my personal page. I mean, it's just, it is like that, a completely different type, but just this massive, beautiful work of art. And completed it. He completed it, I think, about a month ago. And to the best of my knowledge, that is the last completed work of art that Dow created. I lost my friend this past Wednesday, and I found out about it this morning. Found that from a mutual artist friend that's in Connecticut had posted something, and it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Because not so much the personal relationship, yes, that's going to be missed. But what he contributed to the world, the personal relationship pales in comparison. Sort of. Dow wasn't just instrumental in doing these pieces. In fact, in the state of Connecticut, Dow is considered one of the most influential artists in the state, which means in the region. And when you think about what New England and that area is in the country, not just for his work, but for his work with other artists and promoting them. A thing that I find ironic, Dow had an ego. Everybody has an ego. He knew how good he is. But that isn't what drove him. What drove him was his artistic instinct, his love of art, and his love of the art community. He was instrumental in putting together Art Space. Art Space is this place that has this wonderful art gallery on the first floor, and the rest of the building, 4 stories tall, huge, is residences for artists, apartments. And that's what it was created for. That was what it was renovated for. That's right up Dow's alley. And his wife, Amy. She's a very talented artist in her own right. But it was always about giving back. It was always about promoting the arts community and making a difference. Now, where this goes to what we usually talk about. I couldn't be that close for that many years, 3 decades now, with someone that was a polar opposite politically. We had many conversations, and he and I were right together as far as what our thoughts about that were. And I think about him and what he's given back and what he has done for a community that struggles, a community that is generally underappreciated. And then I think about how that applies to where we are right now politically. and the clear difference between one side and another. Dow was the kind of person that would have what I would like to have. And that is both of those sides move away from your fringes and come together and realize that we can do better when we work with and for each other. That was Scott Dow LaBossierre to me. A good long-term friend and a good person. I was speaking earlier with his wife, Amy, she's obliterated right now, as anyone would be. This was very sudden. It was a stroke, and there were symptoms to begin with, but then it took him very quickly. So she is devastated. But still, in that, we could talk and we could share. And what I told her was, if anyone philosophically and theologically looks at more Eastern theology and philosophy, there is the yin and yang. And they pretty much refer to energies. And yang is more of the darker negative energy, and yin is the more, I got it backwards. Yin is the more darker negative energy, and yang is the more positive energy, lighter energy. And Dow, in our relationship, he was the yang to my yin. And I treasure that. I treasure the memory. I treasure the beautiful artwork. And I would suggest that anybody look at the name, I've written it in the title of this, look up the art of Dow LaBossierre. You will be enriched for it. The world is going to miss him tremendously. That contribution is mighty. Being a reality TV star, that's not mighty. That's just being a reality TV star. It depends on what you do with your fame, or in some cases, infamy. I know what Dow did with his, and I am proud to say this was my friend, and I truly appreciated the friendship, and even more so, the massive talent in his art. I beseech all of you, look at it, absorb it, feel him. I know I'm going to. I told Amy today, one of the things I'm going to be doing, she's taking her time to do it properly. Because one of the things that never happened, and Lord, it should have, Dow never had a solo show in art space. He had a number of different art shows, obviously, but he never had one there in his residence, a place that he was instrumental in. He helped with many, many of the art shows that were done in that space, but he never had his own solo show. So next September, Amy is working on putting together the Art of Dow LaBossierre show in art space. And I fully intend to attend. And I will be bringing that with me. You'll find far better pictures of it on my page. Packed up very, very carefully because it is precious to me. And I'm going to close this with one of the testimonies of this man's greatness is that he was able to look at the things we look at with the open eye and mind of an artist and realize what the better path was. I appreciate that. I appreciate his sense of humor. And I shared some of that in a spiritual conversation with him today as I was dusting that lovely sculpture he created for me. And as I was talking to him about the different things, and you'll just have to know that, folks, I speak with the energy of my friends when they have, no, not even when they've passed on. When they're here, I will have talks with my friends that aren't here in my physical presence. But I was having this one with him this morning while I was cleaning his sculpture, my sculpture that he made for me. And there are some that are going to take this the wrong way. Tao would not. I said to him, well, I guess this just went up in value. His work is priceless. His spirit is priceless. And I would have all of us try to find that within yourself. That's the kind of guy he was, and that is the best testimony to my friend, is the good that he shared. I love you, Dow. I'm going to miss your physical presence a whole lot, buddy. But I am never, ever going to lose your energy. Now, if you want to, this one is not your typical political statement that I make. But I strongly say you should share this shit.